So if you're constantly stressed about money, you're living paycheck to paycheck, or you just are feeling stuck financially, this video is for you. These habits in this video, these 6 habits that I'm going to outline, changed my life, and they can change yours as well. Hi, I'm Jason Ehlinger. I'm the CEO of Taika Translations and TVP team, and I was not always good with money. Plain and simple, I wasn't. In fact, I made every possible mistake that you can think of. I even, at one dark time in my history, had a credit card. No longer. But what defines you is not what you have done. What defines you is where you're going and what you're going to do to get there. And so you don't let all that stuff back there, that history, that big pile of mess that you've done, determine what your future is going to look like. But you can implement very simple, practical steps forwards that will cause you to prosper like you would never imagine. And more importantly, they help you to weather the storms of life, because every family, every individual for that matter, in any 5-year period of time, they have a major backwards financial situation. It's going to happen anyways. And I'm not trying to be doom and gloom here, but your grandmother said, have a rainy day fund, because she knew that one day it was going to rain, right? Your grandpa, maybe, if your grandmother wasn't around, whoever it was, they said, have a rainy day fund because one day it's going to rain. So you better be prepared for that. So, all right, let's talk about the 6 very important items that must be in your financial life if you want to break through that frustration cycle of lack, fear, and an inability to get ahead. Number 1, know where your money goes. Everything you spend should be tracked. In some way, it's at the very beginning, you track everything, like every expense possible. As you progress, you are able to put more of your items into separate buckets because you know how much you spend in each area and you have greater control. But at the beginning, you have no control over anything, so you have to track everything. So track everything and put it on a budget. The point is, you can't manage what you don't measure. And if you're not measuring your most valuable wealth building tool, which is your income, at a very minute level, then you're not able to win. The first habit that I had, that my wife and I put in place to manage to get out of that cycle of not having enough, is write down every single thing we spent. And in those days, we had an Excel spreadsheet where we just had all of our expenses listed and everything we purchased. And we was like, this is what we purchased, and this is exactly how much money we're planning to spend on it, and this is how much money we spent on it. And the goal was always like, okay, can we possibly spend less in that category so that at the end of the month we have a little bit of margin? And that was like a game my wife and I played. My wife and I played at the very beginning, so that we were like, okay, we want to go on that trip to wherever, to Europe. Okay, so how can we spend less in these categories so that we can go do that? And it wasn't like who can spend more or who is selfish. It was like, okay, we're tracking the expenses. We've agreed on what we're going to do. How can we spend less? It does sound extreme, but once you see margin left at the end of each month and you get to feel that momentum, you're like, oh my gosh, how did I ever live without this? And it's exciting. It's a liberating experience, not one that's like restricted, because so many people thought they're like, well, you have to live on a budget. It sucks because you're so restricted. You can't do anything. But we found it's completely the opposite. When you track your expenses and you know where all your money's going and you can start to manage it, and then you manage it for the things that you want, your freaking life changes. So for you watching the video, do a 30-day money audit. Awareness of what you need to do is step 1. So track all of your expenses. I don't care if it's how much you spend on cookies or socks or toilet paper. Track it for a single month for yourself. Don't display it for the whole world to see. Nobody needs to see that. You need to see it so that you know where all your money is going. And this is very simple. You can use apps today, but in the most simple form, just make an Excel sheet or a Google Sheets doc on your computer, and then boom, track all your expenses. There's even free budget forms that you can just download, and they're super simple to use. Step 2, and I alluded to this in the first step, but my wife and I made a competition about this. Don't spend more than you earn. Now, for a lot of people at the very beginning, this is kind of like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? Because there's never enough at the end of the month and our savings is depleted. So the first step is to write all this stuff down and start tracking it. First, just track it. Don't even try to spend less. Just track the money you spend. And after you track the money you spend, now ask the next month, this is the next 30 days, ask the question, how can I spend less than I earn? Because in order to build wealth, we're going to have to spend less, save more, and invest, right? We're not there yet. Don't worry. But right now, we just tracked the first month, we just tracked it. Step one. Step two, spend less on paper than I earn. This is obvious, but most people still break this rule. And they're like, I want to get wealthy. I want to get out of debt. I want to do all these things. I want to travel somewhere. But you're spending more than you earn each month and you just don't realize it, and you're not managing your resources that you have. But most people, you can spend less than you earn if you simply track where the money's going. And then you can channel that money, that extra margin that's left over, to where you want to meet your goals. And I used to have this mentality like, well, next month I'll make it back. Or next month I'll track it. Or next month, or next never comes. Do it today. Sit down today, grab your pen and paper, start writing down today. Well, I'm not at the beginning of the month. It doesn't matter. Track any 30-day period will be sufficient. Of course, from the 1st to the 31st or 30th, that's normally the easiest. But if you're not at that time of the month, just start today. If you start today, you get to the end of this month, and then you can start on the 1st, and you'll already have a couple weeks of practice by then. And that will be awesome, because that's what you need in order to be able to win. The real breakthrough, I think the paramount breakthrough for everyone in financial wealth building and freedom, comes when you realize if you can't afford it in cash, you can't afford it. And once you tell yourself like that, the little baby inside is like, no, I want to afford it. I'm so sick and tired of not having anything I want. And then you say, shut up, peanut butter breath. We're not buying it. We can't afford it because we don't have the cash. And when you tell that little baby inside of you, which I have one inside of me as well, so if you have one, you're in good company, okay? So no matter what stage of your life, you still have to put that little voice inside of you you have to quiet that little voice inside of you, because he's always there. He seems to never go away. My name's Jason, and I like stuff. I know the feeling, and just tell him to be quiet. But if you live below your means, remember that 5-year period, that 5-year major negative financial setback that I talked about? It happens to every single human on the face of the planet. You think you're unique, and I think I'm unique, but it happens to all of us. It's coming whether you're ready or not. Why don't we just be ready for it? That would be nice, wouldn't it? So live below your means. In preparation for that, we get to live. We live below our means, and even when your income grows, you still live below your means, making you feel much, much richer. Habit number 3. The habit number 3 is don't accumulate debt. Pay it off. Pay it off. Pay off your debt. You can do it. Somebody somewhere in your history said you have to have a credit score. You have to have a credit card. The little man can't get ahead. You will always be in debt. You can't just go buy a 4-wheeler with cash. You can't just buy a car in cash. You can't buy a house in cash. You can't do that stuff. But the truth is, you can. You absolutely can. And that lie has been told so loudly for so long, the entire culture has started to believe it. But it's an absolute falsehood. And you and I can. Well, I do. I know you can, because I've done it, and I do it. One of my literal next goals is to purchase another house in cash, 0 debt. So you can do it too. Debt is a silent wealth killer. It steals your ability to win. When you have to pay Paul or pay Peter every single month, month after month after month, with interest, that's interest that's not going to you. Just plain and simple. I don't want to get any philosophical conversations about investing. If you don't have to pay somebody else interest, that means you get to keep the interest, right? Right. Just like a 1 + 1 = 2 kind of thing. Let's not overcomplicate it. So I made a list of every single debt that I had, smallest to largest. And we start attacking the smallest one. Pay a minimum payment on everything except the smallest one. And then all the extra margin, because now you're tracking your money and you know where all your money's going, and your goal is to get out of debt so that you can have more money. So you pay that smallest off with a vengeance. Maybe the first one's like $150 and it's been hanging around. You've been paying like $15 a month on it because that was a minimum payment. You didn't even pay more on that. Why would we pay something with a higher interest rate? That's bigger. That's a bigger amount. That would make a lot more sense, right? It does make a lot more sense. But if you were thinking about sense, you wouldn't be in this situation. So what you need to do is circle back to that small one and get create a new behavior. The behavior is debt-free living. So pay off the small one, smallest to largest, until you're completely debt-free. It can be done. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people have done this. And remember what your number one wealth building tool is. It's not the lottery ticket that you're going to buy at the gas station. It's not an inheritance that's hopefully a relative that you might not even know about somehow gives you. It's you and your wealth building tool, which is your income. That is your number one wealth building tool. And when you have complete control over that and you have margin left at the end of each month, you have the ability to prosper. Now, the last takeaway from number 3 is eliminate consumer debt very, very fast, as fast as you possibly can, and you can get out of all your consumer debt. Wouldn't it be amazing if you had zero consumer debt? You can do this. I mean, I know because I've done it. That's how I live. Number 4, build an emergency fund. Build an emergency fund. First emergency fund is $1,000. You're like, that's not even an emergency fund. I can't even pay my rent with that money. Okay, I know this. But the point is to motivate you to get out of debt fast. So first of all, you save $1,000 and then you save a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Okay, that's it. Save a 3 to 6 months for emergency fund, then you have a pile of money in the bank. I know this takes time. It takes about 18 months from start to get to this point, but you can do it. I believe in you. You can do it. This is the best time. Like, remember that story? When was the best time to plant a tree? Well, it was like 45 years ago. When's the next best time? Right freaking now. So this is your moment. Right freaking now. This is the best time. So life is unpredictable. Your car's going to break down. A client's going to pay you late. If you're a small business and you own your own business, you're going to get stuck with something, a medical expense. I don't know. Some people say, I had an unexpected pregnancy. You're like, how was unexpected? Were you not there when this thing came to be? Anyways, that's an always funny one for me. Anyhow, it costs money. Life costs money. Unexpected things happen. Have an emergency fund for those unexpected things. It's gonna happen. Like your grandmother said, it's gonna rain. Have a rainy day fund. Just makes common sense. Common sense kind of goes together, right? Don't let emergencies become disasters in your life. That's the takeaway from this. The takeaway from point number 4 is do not let emergencies become disasters, because they become incredible, horrible disasters in your life if you don't have a plan and you don't have an emergency fund for them. So prepare in advance that there's going to be an emergency. And when an emergency happens, you know what really happens? You're like, well, because I'm so good at managing my money by now and actually have an emergency fund, it's kind of not sort of such an emergency. And I really don't want to take the money out of my emergency fund. I can just kind of sort of get through it. You know, $5,000. I can kind of work it out over the next couple months as I work through things. Yeah, because now you're really good at managing your biggest wealth building tool, which is your income. And you can prosper now, even in adverse conditions. And that's the most beautiful part of this. At some point, there's going to be an adverse condition. Your neighbor's going to set the barbecue pit on fire and it's going to burn down your terrace. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Something bad's going to happen. The back fence that you didn't think about rotted out the bottom of it. And now you have to replace all the posts and your neighbor's only going to pay for half. And now you have to pay for it. You know, like all that kind of stuff that you just don't even think about. It happens. And what are you going to do? You have the emergency fund. You make sure that you are prepared in advance for any of those types of things that happen. All right. Step number 5. This is something that some people don't really think about. Like when they look at their life, they're like, well, I have this much time and I go do this job and I can save this much money from my income. But like, guys, look, there are infinite scenarios in how you can live. You can live in any imaginable scenario. So think about starting a side hustle. There's people that make a couple $1,000s a month simply doing a side hustle. You're like, a couple $1,000s a month? That's like half my salary or a quarter of my salary. Well, start a side hustle. There's plenty of them. And what is it? What can the side hustle be? I don't know. I used to mow grass. I heard one kid cleaned trash cans in a rich neighborhood. I mean, rich people, we don't like stinky trash cans. So somebody come along and say, hey, I'll clean it $20 a month. More power to you. Please clean out our trash can. It would be so nice. Don't have flies and maggots flying around. I know that's kind of nasty, but you know, walk dogs. Heard one guy had a poop scooping business, for goodness sake. I mean, that sounds nasty, but he made millions scooping poop. Like, start a side hustle. There are infinite possibilities out there in this day and age. Put an average, think of a service that you can provide to other people, put an ad out there in the newspaper or on Facebook or wherever, whatever classifieds media you can get stuff out in front of people's eyes that will pay you for stuff is, and let them pay you for doing the service. So start a side hustle. You don't have an earning problem, you have a limited income stream. If you're in a contractual job and you're sticking there for years and years and years and you're growing your career and that's the salary, well, think about the side hustle. That is the definite option. It's not forever. You don't have to side hustle forever and never and never until you get your emergency fund in place. Once you have your emergency fund in place, you can take a step off the gas a little bit because you've paid off all your consumer debt and you have your emergency fund in place. And now it's just very intentional allocation of our income going forward because now we have control. So don't just cut expenses. Supplement your income with other opportunities. And if you're in a dead-end job, don't stay there. I mean, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid of going to work somewhere else. Yeah, but aren't you afraid? Aren't you more afraid of staying where you are for the next 20 years and getting nowhere? Okay, now if your job has great potential and you can move it and you can move the needle by applying yourself more power to you. Do that. Do that, help your team, help your boss, help your entire community, and grow your income. But if you're in a dead-end job that's not going to go anywhere and you're sure of that, then look for other opportunities where you can grow your income. Like literally get more money from you because you can produce a ton more money if you serve more people and help more people more ways. So I want to leave that kind of takeaway with you from this point. It's don't just cut your expenses, grow your income. You have that potential. You can do it. Habit number 6, invest, especially invest in yourself. A kid asked me the other day, if I have $5,000, where should I invest it? And when you're very young and you want to make a bunch of money and you haven't completed all of your formal academic training, my very first advice is invest it in your mind. Invest your money in learning something. Even if you don't want to go to a college, a university, like learn a skill. Like there's so many government programs out there that you can go and apply for in America today that we can go and apply for and become something and do some kind of trade that creates an incredible amount of income. Welders make incredible income. Airplane mechanic makes an incredible income. Some kind of entrepreneurial service that makes an incredible income for you. Like invest the money in yourself. So you do get to a point as you're growing your income and as you're saving and as you have your emergency fund to where you can start investing. Investing comes in different ways at different times of our lives. You can invest in mentors. You can invest in books. You can invest in, especially if you don't have a lot of money to invest, you can invest in stocks or real estate or REITs. If you follow these steps, these 6 steps, if you follow them, you're going to get to a point in your life you'll actually have margin to invest. So when you do, invest. Don't waste the money. Don't just stockpile it. And if you're afraid to invest, learn about investing. Learn about the history of investments in the United States for the last 100 years and find out what the market does. And once you have more of knowledge, more of a base of knowledge about all the things that are going on in the market today, you'll have much more confidence in going out there and investing in something meaningful. Now, we don't speculate in things that don't have a long track record. You're looking for something to 50 to 80 year track record that's really a solid investment, especially if you're starting out and you're a little scared and you have this pile of money and you're like, well, I got this pile of money. It was really hard to get this pile of money. We're not talking about investing in the emergency fund, by the way. The emergency fund is a completely separate pile of money. But you have this other pile of money that now that you have margin, you have some control in your life, you're able to invest. And you take that and you start consistently investing month after month after month. Did you know if you invest like $200 a month from age 20 to age 65, you will be a millionaire? Like, what? You can do that? Yes, you can absolutely do that. You invest $200 a month. If you start right now, you're 20. You start right now and you have zero, one big fat zero in your bank account. And you get paid a monthly salary. And you can create $200 of margin. $200 of margin. That's stop eating pizza 3 times a month and stop going to Starbucks. And you probably even lose some of the weight you wanted to lose. You will have $2.1 million. $2.1 million. $2,100,000 If you invest $200 a month at a 10% growth rate of return from age 20 to 65. And you think you have an excuse for retiring broke? Don't. You have no excuse. Guys, that almost makes my heart hurt. Like, please start this process today, because you will be a millionaire simply by starting the stuff that I just talked about in this video. If you want to be a multimillionaire by the time you're 65 and you're 20 years old today, invest $200 a month in just in the S&P 500, and you'll probably be close to $2 million by the time you're 65. $200 a month. You don't have to make a $100,000 investment today. $200 a month, but every month from now until you hit 65. I think you can retire in $2,100,000. Pretty sure you can retire on that, because what is that? If you continue to make a 10% rate of return, how much do you make per year? Oh, sounds like $200,000 per year. If you invested $200 until you were 65 and you were able to make a $200,000 per month per year income, I think you can survive, right? Like, my grandfather spent like $1,500 a month. Okay, granted that was like 25 years ago, but anyways, he spent like $1,500 a month. And I mean, so I'm not thinking that I'm going to be going crazy when I'm 65 plus. Like, we're going to have a good life, right? Comfortable life, but we're not going to be going crazy. We're not going to spend millions and millions and millions and millions. Most people don't, right? You don't have to either. Well, the point is, if you save money and a little money over a really long time, you'll be able to invest, and that return on investment will help you not to have to retire broke. The takeaway from this 6th point is invest in things that pay you dividends. Invest in things that pay you back. Now, I don't just mean invest in stocks that pay you dividends. That's not what I mean. I mean, in that sense, I want you to invest, but invest in mutual funds. Invest in index fund or a mutual fund if you're really conservative. Okay, that's great investing, and that'll get you there. Invest in things that pay you money back. Don't give other people your money as you're growing your wealth, because if financially and mentally invest, and that pays dividends, well, your income will grow and your ability to invest will grow. That's what we're after, because that creates an amazing future. That's what we're trying to create. All right, so these habits, they don't just make you wealthier, they also made you wiser. So if you apply them, if you take these and apply them today, you'll become wealthier and wiser. And if you're serious about taking control of your finances, you don't need to be perfect. Like, 80% will do it. You just need to be consistent. If this helped you in any way, or might help somebody that you know, please share it with them. Hit subscribe, like this video, and drop me a comment below to tell me what the biggest challenge it is that you face in managing your finances today. I'm just sharing the stuff that actually works. No hype, no fluff. If you want to build a better life and have more money, 6 steps, and it'll get you there over time.